He tried every popular MMO, and it didn't go well. I wonder what happened.
MMORPGs are dying, or at least that's what I've been led to believe based on all of the videos that get recommended to me about MMORPGs. But why are they dying? Is it
Probably monetization, shitty monetization, nothing good coming out. Dead. I mean, no expansions, no new content for MMOs, no good content. Yeah, probably that's it.
Is it because MMORPG companies, both old and new, are using predatory microtransaction models that take advantage of players to ruin all semblance of game integrity? Yeah. But it's also because there aren't enough new players coming to these MMORPGs to compensate for the natural burnout of veteran players. Hi, I'm Idyl, and as you can probably tell by my office, I'm the newly elected president of MMORPGs. So everything I say in this video, including my opinions, is factual, and you cannot disagree. MMORPGs are extremely complex, and the rise and fall of their player bases can never be pinpointed to one singular factor. But I do think that
most of them few expansions, and then MMO starts to die. Shitty expansions and excessive monetization.
one thing over the course of many years has been a driver in the fall of MMOs. New player experience. Remember 14 seconds ago when I said MMORPGs are extremely complex? Well, they are. To longtime players, this complexity is the best part because it means hundreds of hours of content that usually reward you for your time investment. But that means playing an MMO for the first time can feel like going to a friend's house who really loves board games and they plot a game with a full novel for an instruction manual, and then they say, "Don't worry, it's simple, let me explain." But it's literally more complicated than advanced calculus. Is this even calculus?
I don't give a shit if it... Stop lagging. If it is hard or complex, to me, when I come to a new game for new MMO that I want to try, complexity, if it is good complexity, there can be bad complexity, unnecessary complexity. If it is good, then that means I can spend a little bit of time playing game and researching about the game and different mechanics, different skills, to spend a little bit of time in my head about that game if it is interesting. Most of them are not.
I don't know, I'm the president of MMORPGs, not math. So I wanted to put my instinct about new player experiences to the test. To do this, I created fresh characters on 3 MMORPGs. Old School RuneScape, World of Warcraft Retail, and Final Fantasy XIV, all of which I have varying degrees of experience with. I've played a ton of Old School RuneScape, and I've dipped my toes into WoW Classic.
I didn't play... never tried either of those. That's what I was trying to say.
But never retail. And for Final Fantasy XIV, I will be completely blind. I've never even watched someone play it. I'll be looking at each of these games in...
I watched a little bit of Asmongold if you are interested. For story purposes, not for gameplay.
3 key stages of new player experience to see how new player friendly they are. And this should hopefully help me find out if MMOs are as much of a walled garden as they seem. Before we do that though, let me make one thing very clear. I am not reviewing these MMORPGs. I'm not trying to invest tens or...
I'm not here for review. I'm here for opinions about MMOs, ideas about good MMOs, and the starting point of what players should look for in a good MMO starting when they start. I'm rambling again, am I? No good thought in my speaking, in me speaking. Oh, fuck. My English these few days is...
Hundreds of hours to figure out which MMORPG is best. I'm only looking at the first handful of hours that a new player will experience before deciding if they'll invest all that time. So when I inevitably say something bad about your favorite MMORPG, just remember, I'm bald. Use that as ammunition.
I'm always gonna say a little bit more rough. If you don't like my opinion, fuck off. This place is not for you. You will be offended a lot. And yeah, he's bald. And I'm balding. Or just having a pretty big forehead. As he said, that's a great ammunition if you are trying to lift your ego, trying to laugh at somebody's things that he or me cannot control.
To really hurt me when you leave a comment. If you want
Not really, that won't hurt. A little bit.
to design the next great MMORPG, you'd need to learn a few things first. Like, I don't know, game development? Southern New Hampshire University. Today's sponsor. She has one of the largest online accredited degree offerings in the entire country. And unsurprisingly, the one that interests me the most is the game development program. In this program, you'll learn everything you need to know about game development, from programming in languages like Java, C++, C#, just industry standard languages. You'll also learn how to develop dynamic gameplay experiences using AI and physics engines. And you'll also learn 3D modeling and texturing in game art software. All these courses are taught by people who are or have been in the industry, so you're getting first-hand knowledge. But the best part of all of this is that SNHU is radically affordable. It's online. Head to snhu.edu/Idyl. There's a link in the description. There you can learn more about the game development program, and you can also see the average annual salary for a programmer. So again, click the link in the description if you want to learn more, and thank you so much to SNHU for sponsoring this video.
Okay, first impression.
First impressions are extremely important in video games. In a day and age where people like me can't get through a movie without Subway Surfers playing to the side, it's crucial that the character creation, opening cutscene, menus are all easy, intuitive.
The starting point, and to me, if you have a good mechanic in your game, build your fucking game, your questing system around that mechanic.
And engaging. If it's even a little difficult or annoying to get through these steps, there's a really good chance you're going to lose a new player. World of Warcraft is pretty straightforward. You need to use the Battle.net launcher to run all of their games, which can be annoying, but there's very little friction in signing up and launching the game. On your first launch, you get a pretty badass opening cutscene of a battle between the Horde and the Alliance. It feels like this cutscene is really geared towards veteran players, since I don't know who any of these people are, except this lady. I know who she is. She's mommy. But I get the feeling
that point, I really don't like that most, if not all MMORPGs, if they have a story or some kind of lore, let's say. I'm sorry, I needed to take care of a few things, so let's continue. Where was I? Fuck, I forgot. Okay, let's try to remember. What was I saying? Oh yeah, I remembered. About the story of most of lore and story of most MMORPGs, that they, in the future when new expansions come and game progresses, they suddenly, maybe unintentionally, destroys everything that was built previously. I mean, you cannot do previous story quests, get previous story items, or something like that. That is no longer available, that part. And you just go through. I understand that some people maybe want to... even when they start, they want to go... they don't want to go through all of previous, let's say, expansions, all the previous lore content. They want to go to the main thing where they start the game. I mean, the main expansion. The expansion that came out now, let's say. I cannot say it properly. Okay. And I kind of missed that. That what I liked in Guild Wars. That I came when the game progressed to very far, and yet, even if I buy expansions, I still can do previous story quests, enjoy that content that was released in the past. In some of MMORPGs, I cannot do that because it is already destroyed, or going with the story, with the lore, main storyline, let's say, that area some kind of doesn't exist or something. Uh, I don't care about reason, but please, for players like me, I don't know how many of those like that, leave the previous content in the game. If you want, that's my opinion. I like the previous content of the games, and I want to enjoy it. Especially if we're talking about lore, the story, yeah.
Most of these people are important and they don't like each other, and that's all that really matters, I guess. After that, you're free to create a character. Hold on. Does that say Dragonflight? The opening cutscene said Battle for Azeroth. Okay, that's a little confusing, but since Dragonflight is the latest expansion and it says Dragonflight in the corner, I guess I'll be playing Dragonflight. WoW has...
I probably won't talk a lot in this because this is new for me. I never played. I maybe watched few videos about WoW, maybe a little bit of gameplay. I've seen that raids or something, but nothing very, very special.
It's always been known for its many races and classes to choose from, and I gotta say, it's pretty cool to see all the options here. Coming from a game like old school RuneScape, which is literally the opposite, it's an interesting mechanic to be faced with an important decision right off the bat. I mean, look at this. You could be an undead mage, a dwarf paladin, a panda. Yeah, okay, yeah, you could be a panda monk, why not? All of these classes have little blurbs about them that only go into broad detail about the classes. I think this is a good thing since when you're brand new, getting flooded with minutia will usually only confuse you more.
But okay, it's a little bit confusing if you're not used to reading and researching every bit of that existed on the screen. I mean, all the information about class, about race, and everything that you get, bonuses from that, everything is in your face. I mean, you should read about that, and you can read about that to find out about everything. I missed a lot of that in games because information is kind of scarce in some of the games that I played, in some of MMOs that I played. Too little, small amounts of explanations that is not very easy to understand.
I can't tell if it's overwhelming or exciting to have all of this choice so early on, but I think I lean towards exciting. The cool thing about World of Warcraft is you don't need a...
World of Warcraft, probably, Guild Wars, those things were on the screen, those things, when I was creating my character in Guild Wars, a lot of things that I had to choose that will, decisions that will make different story. The beginning of the story will be different for me, because of those choices. But that was awesome. It was not overwhelmingly bad. It was good. If I like to read, if I like the lore was awesome. And I expect the same thing is with WoW in this situation.
To pay anything extra to create new characters, so you'll have time to explore all of these different classes if that's what you want to do. So the choice isn't quite as important as it might seem. Character customization is pretty straightforward and simple. You have a few options, but not too many. It's fine. Overall, World of Warcraft leaves a pretty good...
I kinda like that. Simple, there's enough choices for me to do something, let's say, a little bit unique. I'm not one of those. I'm not against that for existing very complex character creation. I'm not against that. Okay, but I'm not gonna use that most of the time. Maybe if I have more time on my hands, maybe if I'm not in the hurry to get myself into the game, or I'm not making content. But still, I won't use that, because few times that I try to use complex system when I can stretch and the character that I was creating, it came out pretty bad. It was the blob.
First impression, a cool cutscene, decent character creation, I'm in. Old school RuneScape's first impression is a little different. For any new player to RuneScape, the first step is figuring out how to get to which version you want to play. With World of Warcraft and World of Warcraft Classic, they're both in the Battle.net launcher, so it's a little bit easier to get to them. But Old School RuneScape and RuneScape are using completely separate launchers. Old School RuneScape's probably a big enough name at this point.
Why is that? Why? They could make their own launcher.
Point where this isn't really an issue, but I just thought it was worth mentioning. To give myself as authentic of a new player experience as possible, I will be playing on the official Jagex client and not RuneLite. But since I'm trying to gauge how the game developers curate new player experiences, using Jagex's client just feels right. After launching the game, I'm stretched straight into character creation. No opening cutscene, no other frills, just straight into name selection.
Does RuneScape has any cutscenes, any cinematics? I think no. I never played it, so for me it's hard.
You know what? I'm not mad about it. So what if RuneScape doesn't give me a mommy? It doesn't need one. We will eventually be given a mommy, though.
Sylvanas.
Anyway, the lack of opening cutscene or story introduction actually works really well in RuneScape's case. Old School doesn't have an overarching story narrative that
It has
dominates the
cinematics.
world. It's made up of a lot of smaller stories that run concurrently with each other. There's no narrative to be caught up on or introduced, because that will happen naturally as you play. It's really the difference between RuneScape's constant update model and WoW's expansion model. As you start to come up with your name, you'll be introduced to arguably Old School RuneScape's best feature, the music. Character creation is honestly pretty damn good, especially considering it really hasn't changed since like 2004. Is it anything super special? No, but you get enough option to make your character look however you want. What really stands out to me about
That's all I need!
is the simplicity of it. There's really no bells and whistles, it's just straight into the game. And this simplicity is actually a good thing in my opinion. The game at its core is really simple, and I think that is a pretty big appeal for new players. It'd be weird if there was this flashy opening cutscene and crazy character customization for a game that just isn't really like that. Final Fantasy XIV, on the other hand, is the complete opposite. I created my Square Enix account and launched the game, and the first thing you do is choose a data center, which is basically just a server your character will be on. It doesn't give you a recommended server based on population, ping, or any other criteria, so when I saw—
That's bad. That should exist, because dumbasses like me can do very bad decisions with that. Of course, I'm in Europe, so that's... But still, I'm an idiot in that regard. I will probably sometimes make a big mistake by choosing server.
I was a little intimidated, but after very bravely selecting a server, a 4.5-minute cutscene started that talked about the destruction of the entire world. With all the knowledge I could ever need about the history of Final Fantasy XIV, it was time to create my character, and boy oh boy, is there a lot you can do here. It walks you through the creation in steps, starting with race. You can be pretty much anything in Final Fantasy XIV. Whoa. Hello. You could be a human, an
He's
elf,
flat a little bit in the nether
child?
regions.
When I play Final Fantasy, I play as a little boy.
That was good. Do you want to hang out, or do you want to just...
No, I'm gonna...
After picking your race and
Somehow I think he's my size. I'm short.
even picking what animations your character is doing, you can finally customize your character's look, and they let you change everything. I mean, just look at all of these options. It's crazy. And I'm not complaining. More customization is almost always a good thing. I mean, you can even customize the character's voice.
Oh, you mean choose the word.
This is by
Okay.
far one of the most involved character creations I've seen in an MMO. I mean, it's one of the most involved character creations I've seen in any game. And it really just means you'll never see anyone who looks like you in the game world, and that's pretty neat. So with my character customized, it's time to get into the... Oh, I have to pick my character's birthday. This has no impact on gameplay. Okay,
So why do
pick a random
I
day
need
then.
that?
Well, now we
32
can get into
days in a month?
select your
What the
patron
fuck?
deity.
What the
This has
fuck is that
no
world?
effect on game.
Wait, what? Why in that world there's 32 days in a month? What the fuck is that backward shithole? Select your character's patron deity.
Gameplay. I'll just go with the first one then. Thanks.
Why?
Okay, well, now we can finally get into the user starting class. What the fuck? Oh, wait, nope. This one's actually important. After finally solidifying every
Kinda
last
lost in
detail
that.
about my character, it was finally time to immerse myself in the game. And what way should any MMO start if not with a
Tutorial!
Tutorials are a hugely important part of the new player experience. Not only is the
No.
tutorial going to give you crucial information about the core game
probably.
mechanics,
Yeah, probably that will give you, but still. I'm not gonna contain myself without speaking about some of the tutorials when they give me almost maxed level with most of my abilities to do all types of cool shit, and then I finish the tutorial and I come out as a dumbass that can't do shit. Doofus.
but the way this information is presented can make or break whether a new player decides to stick around. A bad tutorial can legitimately be worse than no tutorial at all. It can bore, confuse, irritate new players, and just drive them away completely.
Sometimes even the beginning of the game is annoying and shouldn't exist.
Especially because the
At least some of the game's first 4 hours of the game shouldn't exist because it's not interesting, not important, not fun, and you are not using the game mechanics for which you came to play the game. I'm talking about you, Lost Ark and Black Desert.
amount of time you have to hook a new player is extremely short, so you better not waste any time. World of Warcraft and old school RuneScape opt to place new players in instance tutorials. These are areas specifically designed as tutorials that you can't go back to after completing them. Final Fantasy XIV, on the other hand, just plops you right into a starting town where you're surrounded by players both old and new. Listen, I love tutorial
Why not?
Island, and I always will, but there's a reason it got replaced like 20 times in RuneScape 3. Tutorial
Because-
Island walks you through some
Because it sucked, probably.
of the basics of skilling, combat, prayer, some pretty crucial information for new players. And I have no issue with what it teaches you, but more so with how it teaches you. The entirety of Tutorial Island is just follow.
Yes, exactly. How it is done. Some of these things, the beginning of the game, could be done better. But it wasn't. And it fucked up my experience with the game. Let's continue. I'm speaking probably too much.
Following arrows, clicking on blinking icons, and optionally reading a bunch of text dumps. It
Click,
just
click,
feels
click,
like
click,
a
skip, skip.
chore
Skip, 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 skip.
you need to get done, and that's only hammered home by the fact that Jagex literally puts a % done meter at the bottom of the screen that just is there the entire time.
To
It really
annoy
makes you
us.
feel like you're just really trying to speed through this to get to the main game. I just think the whole tutorial could be done a little bit better if it was formatted as a quest. That way you can learn not only about core game mechanics through the tutorial, but also learn about questing. Because quests in Rune
Or interesting story to teach me somehow I'm a new thing in the world, and you are trying to explain how fucked up this world is in the way you are telling me what the fuck is going on in the world, and you are teaching me how to use stuff in the world because I'm new. Am I explaining myself right? Good? Understandable? No? God damn it.
RuneScape are pretty different than quests in other MMORPGs. Plus, right now, the way you learn about quests is through a guy just telling you about them, which is kind of lame. But at the same time,
Yeah.
if Tutorial Island ever changed, the old school RuneScape player base would literally riot, so maybe we don't touch it. World of Warcraft starts you on a boat where you briefly learn about combat before getting shipwrecked on Exile's Reach. Exile's Reach is an island where the tutorial will be taking place, but it is not Tutorial Island. It's Exile's Reach. It's different. Exile's Reach has a lot of the same issues as Tutorial Island. It feels very hand-holdy, and I just have to mindlessly click on whatever some arrows are pointing to. It also loves to repeat instructions that it already gave me. Oh, what's that? A new ability? Let me drag that onto my hotbar. Oh, what's that? Another new ability? Let me drag that onto my hotbar. Oh, what's that? Another new ability? Let me drag that onto my hotbar. The tutorial is formatted as a bunch of quests that you have to complete,
not
which I
squeeze
enjoy.
somebody's neck tight with love, passion, and hate? Eesh, sounds like a murder.
Because it gives you tangible milestones to hit throughout. The first thing it has me do is just kill
Some
some
of these
Murlocs to find supplies, which is a very
these
generic
beginnings!
MMO quest format. But I don't. What's that Murloc doing? Oh my god! I want to hear what he's playing. Woo! Progressing through the tutorial, I learn more about combat, and eventually I learn a little bit more about combat. I don't know why Blizzard
Not
thought I
bad.
needed multiple.
So the tutorial, the beginning of the game, is about the mechanic that is important in the game. Not clicking, skip, 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 skip. Maybe a little bit of fun story. Skip, 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 skip.
Sparring sessions to understand how combat works, but thanks, I guess. The cool thing about Exile's Reach is there's side quests all throughout the island. These side quests are totally optional, but it makes it feel like a little bit more than just a tutorial section. There's one side quest where you have to kill this big ass bear, and you actually have to take the fight kind of seriously. This fight is way better than the combat tutorials because it doesn't tell you what abilities to use. You have to make decisions and kite and do damage at the right times. It's the best part of the tutorial, and it's not even required. The main questline is a bit more straightforward. It has you do normal MMO stuff like killing X number of mobs, collecting X number of items, or mounting an aerial assault on an army of ogres while loosely tethered to a helicopter constructed by a goblin. You know,
Nice!
normal stuff. The tutorial ends on a high note by introducing you to a staple of World of Warcraft, dungeons. It walks you through the group finder and
So I was right. Tutorial is built around mechanic that is the main thing in the game. Raids, combat system. What else do you fucking need? A little bit of lore, progression with the story. Let's continue again.
then you embark on a very small dungeon with 2 NPCs and 1 other player. I got matched up with a druid who clearly was more experienced than me. He kept rushing ahead to speed through the dungeon and we didn't say a single word to each other.
I hate when people do that. I hate it. When they... Warframe... in Guild Wars, there was a little bit more fun. I said that this was first time and everybody was so chill. So... This I hate when they rushing and I'm trying to enjoy the game. As Warframe, for example, I played few times with other people. They rushed. I was trying to enjoy the game, and they were trying to fuck it up because that was not the first run for them. Please, guys, don't do that. If one day somebody who's watching my videos will play some kind of game with me, please don't rush, or I will feed you a lot of dicks. That's expression in Lithuanian. Translated very badly, word for word, in English. You will eat a bag of dicks. Something like that.
So in other words, It was perfect. This dungeon is seriously such a cool way to cap off the tutorial. Not only does it make the story you play through feel a little bit more impactful, but it teaches you about one of the really important mechanics in WoW. No one wants to just read about how to go through a dungeon. They want to play through it, experience it in a safe, low-stakes environment.
Yes!
And that's what this is.
Definitely.
Final Fantasy XIV takes the most unique approach of the three games by deciding to copy the Skyrim opening cutscene.
Hey, you. Finally awake.
Okay, I mean, they did make it a little different. On a real note, though,
I
the
would
time from when I
squeeze the
created
life
my
out of
character
that
to
thing.
when I actually got to control my character was over 11 and a half minutes. And this is what happened when I finally did get control.
We're talking about Final Fantasy, dude. Final Fantasy. That's full length 10 seasons of a series. 10 fucking seasons. We are talking about Final Fantasy games. Actually, the cinematic of the games. Jesus.
Wow. Really, man? Can I just... I mean, it's just cutscene after cutscene with this game. My god. The whiplash I got from playing RuneScape, where cutscenes are rarer than a comment not accusing me of copying Jimmy, to this, where it's just 20 minutes of straight cutscenes to start, was wild. When you can finally
Maybe
get
that's
full
not
control
bad.
and freedom with your character, you'll be starting on a sort of tutorial quest line. This lady, Mother Mione... Wait a second, this game gives me a mommy too. Anyway, back to mommy. She
Real
gave me
mommy.
the tutorial quest line that required me to do 3 pretty simple tasks. But first she made fun of my name? Like, what the fuck did I do to you? It also really feels like these mini in-game cutscenes should have voice acting, but they don't, so it's just kind of silent. Like I said before, this
good.
tutorial doesn't take place in a new player only zone.
But
You'll be
that's a
surrounded by
Final
both
Fantasy.
new and veteran players, which I really like. As far as I'm concerned, the faster you can get a new player into the main game world, the better. And having experienced players who might be able to offer help to new players could be a really great experience for those new players. Look at this cool social interaction I got to have with a player who also happened to be new. You can tell because they have a little leaf icon next to their name. A person.
Clouds.
Can I wave? /wave. I can wave. And they wave to me. What the fuck are they doing? What the hell is all this? Stop that. Stop. No. Stop doing that. Okay, I know what you're thinking. Damn, that's impressive that you knew how to emote just like that. You must be so smart. But that's where you're wrong. Luckily for me, there's a quest that teaches you how to emote by dancing in front of this sad girl whose parents just died. So... remember how I criticized the OSRS tutorial for having too many text dumps you had to read through to learn about some mechanics? Well, that's all Final Fantasy is. It's just text dump after text dump after text dump. I mean, holy cow! And being a normal human being, I skipped through all of that. Maybe I'm not the best person to be reviewing new player experiences. This meant I had no idea that equipment like armor and weapons goes to a completely different inventory than your normal inventory. I turned in a quest and I got a brand new pair of pants, which I just couldn't wait to equip, but my little caveman brain just couldn't figure out where it went. For the record, you have to press Control-I to open the secret equipment inventory, so you're welcome. Text dumps are unfortunately how you
Oh, well.
also learn about
That shouldn't be that, but still, not a bad idea.
one of the coolest mechanics
Or just try to fucking try to fucking explain how to do that from the start. And of course, you need to read about that.
in Final Fantasy XIV. Despite having to pick a starting class at character creation, you aren't locked into that class for the entirety of your character like in World of Warcraft. You can train literally anything. Your abilities and skills are going to be based off of what you have equipped, and that's awesome. It's like the way RuneScape works, but on cocaine. It's such a cool mechanic, but I didn't love just reading about it. It would have been so cool to have a section of the tutorial questline that rewards me with a new weapon and then presents me with a challenge where
There are quest arcs to introduce you to unlock new classes, but not in tutorial.
or I need to use a different set of skills than my starting class so I can tangibly see how this mechanic works and have fun playing with it. Because, you know, it's a game. I want to play
You did a mistake talking about that. Oh well.
the game. But as long as I'm playing Final Fantasy XIV, I guess I'm gonna have to learn how to read, so it kind of sucks. You follow this tutorial quest line and get fed
Nobody
little
likes
chunks
to
of
read.
information
Everybody
from
wants
time
to see cool cinematic and then go straight to the action. Right? Right.
time. But you can really do whatever you want in the game at this point. There's no solid introduction to combat, but you get the hang of it just from doing some side quests
I
around
like
town.
that.
One thing I'll say though is that I found this town extremely confusing. The map in Final Fantasy XIV is broken up into sections and you go from one to the other and there's little loading screens. When you look at the map of the town in game, it has these
Not the bad thing. I'm not the open world whore. If the game is good, I don't give a fuck that there's a loading screen. I like open world, but most of the time, many of the games that have open world have shitty sections that just empty sections that nobody gives a fuck, or sections that are not used, mostly useless.
like long corridors, and for some reason I could not wrap my head around traversing this area. The map interface in World of Warcraft was great because it had the quest log built in next to the map with very clear labels for quests. My aforementioned tiny caveman brain had so much trouble figuring out the labels and areas in Final Fantasy XIV. I swear I spent half my time questing just looking at the map. Since Final Fantasy XIV doesn't really have like a
I'm kinda torn about that. Everything is labeled, everything is said. Okay, but, and, sometimes it is better to search for things, maybe. I don't know, I'm torn about that. When everything just in my face, every explanation, not explanation, the quest lines, everything, I can put a pointer and run to the point where I need to be. That is kinda, I don't know. I don't know how to argue for this point. Maybe it's just my silliness, because I remember the good old days when I was trying to find information in Lineage, when there's no pointers in the game, when there's only written text and no pointer on the map where the NPC is. There's only stuff to read. And I didn't know at the time how to read in English. So that was fun. I lost so much fucking time trying to find information in my native language. Information was there, but still, it was kind of fun. We, with friends, when we talk about the game, we are fond of those memories. It's a fun time in my life, when I was spending more time researching stuff and trying to plan the stuff that I need to do, for example, profession quests, and playing the game. I wasted a lot of time, when there should be at least some kind of pointer on the map. And most of the time, I'm used to that, maybe because of that I couldn't read in English, I'm used to skip everything. And now I understand that I should, most of the time, even in other games, skip the text, because nothing of any substance is there. I mean, no useful information, nothing. And especially that information is useless when there's a pointers. That's it. You need to go to kill a few mobs, you need to do that, and that's it. That's kind of But yeah, still, with the logs, pointers, where to find the quest, where to find NPCs, it still doesn't lose the charm for me. I'm just remembering stuff that I was kinda enjoying. Now I'm thinking that I was wasting a lot of time where I could enjoy the game and not doing some useless quest.
Hard end to its tutorial. I'm just gonna go into the next section. I don't have a transition.
Just like me!
First steps is what I'm calling the section of the game that happens right after the tutorial. How does the tutorial section
If the tutorial exists.
prepare you for the main game? Are you still guided by some sort of mechanic, or have the game developers just left you entirely to fend for yourself in this whole new world? I've already talked about how Final Fantasy XIV doesn't have a tutorial with a hard end, but it does
Like
have
a
a
child,
way of
I mean,
easing you
with
into
that.
the rest of the game. Achievements. After playing the game for only a little bit, you'll naturally unlock at least one achievement, which at least for me had me interested in what else I could achieve. I found the achievements page and it was full of things to do, ranging from way out of my level range to extremely obtainable goals. And I think it's great for me as a new player to see things that are in
I like those. There's a thing to do, or if you, let's say, main quest line, you finished main quest line, main storyline, and now you want to, let's say, explore, or you just don't want to do a main quest line, just fuck it, I'm just doing, there is something for achievements. Good. A new and interesting activity for that. And even for finishing the main storyline or progressing in the storyline, you get achievements. Few, maybe one achievement for whole story, maybe few achievements in between. That could be awesome. That could be fun. For especially for guys like Icon that are completionists. I kind of like that about him. I'm not like that, but he is a completionist. For him, if he would not be so fucking stubborn, he would really enjoy, for example, Final Fantasy and Guild Wars. A lot of achievements, a lot of activities. But, big but.
the near term and long term. Like when you walk around RuneScape for the first time and you see someone with a skill cape and you find out that you can get 99 in some skills. It's not something you're gonna do anytime soon, but it's just cool to see what could become of your character. The normal life cycle of an MMORPG, once you
start with a small fry, with some kind of, let's say, soldier, private, and you become a general or even a god in the world. Whereas a lot of gods like you.
finish a tutorial is to do every single quest you can until you need to grind to do more quests, and that's usually a fine progression. But having this achievement system to give me a motivator outside of just trying to make all the exclamation marks over people's heads go away is just really cool. Plus, I am a man-child, so a little pop-up congratulating me makes me feel pretty good. But here's the best part. Sorry, I'm yelling and I'm standing because I'm excited now. The game will even give you this little pop-up over here that tells you about achievements that you're close to completing, so you're
Just
always
talking
motivated
about
about
shafts.
something near term, and that's just a great idea. Good. Listen, I just had coffee. I'm sorry. This is once you
My
start
kind of
exploring the
guy.
world of Final Fantasy XIV, you'll just naturally run into new mechanics.
I'm not drinking coffee, by the way. I don't. Coffee is bad for me. Not just because it will fuck up the day of everybody else around me. No, not really. Because I'm like a squirrel. Just because it tastes like shit. I like tea. Almost all types of teas. But fuck the coffee.
Mechanics like fates, which are basically mini world events that you get rewarded for completing based on how much work you put in. Fates and other world mechanics that I'm sure I haven't discovered yet are the perfect example of not everything needing to be explained in a tutorial. The feeling of running randomly into a fate and trying to figure out what it was awesome because the stakes on this particular one were low, and it gave me a chance to learn the mechanics of it by playing through it. It made the world feel alive, and it made me feel like I was discovering it. But this is also what makes designing a good tutorial so hard. You want to cover everything a player needs to know, but you don't want to spoil the whole adventure. And on top of that, you have to make it interesting. Basically what I'm
That's why you are researching other games. Learn from other games. What worked, what didn't work. Read Reddit or some kind of forums where people are talking about stuff like that. Do that, and you're gonna make something awesome, I think, in my opinion.
saying is, if any game developers are watching this, I don't envy you. You're doing great. Keep it up. The main quest storyline will also introduce
That was the perfect place for me to speak about all of this. Awesome.
you to some other mechanics, like these instant fights with level syncing. This means you can't just side quest your way to max level and then one-shot the entire main storyline. It'll bring you back down to whatever level it was designed for.
Yes! I like that. Level sync or whatever that is called. That was mechanic in Guild Wars that really... really surprised me. That I was missing in so many games. For example, when I play with my used to play with my friends, because nobody wants to play with me now. And then they most of the time they went through the levels. I mean, they leveled up much faster than me, and we couldn't play together. That's kind of fucked up. And with mechanic like that I enjoyed, we could. So that helps with problem that I have with most MMORPGs. Used to have.
Wait a minute.
Oh dear.
There's voice acting now?
Sword in a stump?
What the fuck?
Bad
What?
idea.
Why is there voice acting all of a
Really
sudden?
bad idea.
Final Fantasy XIV is
Really
kind of
bad
weird to
idea.
look back on in retrospect because there's clearly
Yeah.
so much depth to this game, but there's not really a whole lot of time invested in teaching you about that depth. I really don't think it's reasonable to expect any new player to just read a bunch of text and memorize it like it's some sort of exam. The basic questline does
Nope,
serve as a
you're not gonna
decent
do that.
sort of tutorial, but
Definitely
the
not
ease
me.
at which you can go off-road from that questline, both intentionally and unintentionally in my case, means you can get lost in the deep end pretty quickly. But at least Final Fantasy XIV is one cohesive experience. Unlike World of Warcraft, I have never been more confused than I was after finishing the World of Warcraft tutorial. I, a Blood Elf mage, was immediately brought to the capital of the Horde and put in front of Sylvanas, aka Mommy from earlier. You might remember her. For, you know. I was sent on a diplomatic mission to recruit this nation of pyramid people to the Horde's cause, and I was deemed the champion of the Horde? What? Me? The champion of the Horde? I just got here. Literally 5 minutes ago, I was leaving an island where the only thing they referred to me as was recruit. So all of a sudden, I went from a low-ranking nobody to instantly one of the most important people in a war I know nothing about. You remember when I got confused about which expansion I was playing earlier when it said Dragonflight in the corner but played the Battle for Azeroth cutscene? Well, it turns out I'm playing through Battle for Azeroth, and that's a shame because I paid for the Dragonflight expansion after someone told me it would be the best experience for new players. So naturally, I thought
So
maybe
I don't get it. How exactly the World of Warcraft expansions work? How that exactly? If I buy that, I can't play previous expansion. For that, I need to buy it. Battle for Azeroth was the first. I need to read more about WoW, I think, because I'm too confused right now to make a proper comments.
Maybe I picked the wrong option somewhere along the way, and I made a new character, a human rogue. This time,
Why?
I had the choice of going back to Exile's Reach or going to the human starting zone, Elwyn Forest. I assumed by choosing Elwyn Forest as my starting zone instead of the tutorial, I would be in Dragonflight, and that's where I had gone wrong before. But no. I don't know for sure since I don't really know anything about the World of Warcraft expansions, but I'm pretty sure I was put back into Cataclysm, which is not the most recent expansion. So basically, I'm really fucking confused. I think at this point, it just makes sense to press forward though. And make another character and go back to Exile's Reach since I really didn't like the mage anyways. This time, after the tutorial, I'm not told I'm the champion of the Horde. I'm actually the champion of the Alliance. So, making 3 characters wasn't a waste of time. Anyway, it turns out you have to play through Battle for Azeroth if you're a brand new player no matter what, but that's okay because it was made clear to me. Nowhere. This got me started on a whole series of quests that basically played out as a single-player RPG.
Not being properly, but everybody knows about this thing, the mistake. Let's say that this explanation should exist for the new players especially, but it doesn't. I don't understand the developers of these games. Why things that are bad, and a lot of players agree with that and are pointing out those things, why it is not fixed most of the time. I don't exactly get that. Is this normal? Yeah, probably. Because I hear a lot of these things that people don't like it, but still nobody listens. But we see in the field, in the gaming, in movies, that most of the time, try to fucking listen to people that are consuming your product. We saw that with Sonic, that really listening to players is a good thing. That you will have a better product and more people will use it to watch it, to play it. For example, Baldur's Gate is one good example where I have read that there was a lot of feedback from players to developers, and developers listened to that to create an awesome game. At least from what Icon said to me. The game is awesome. The game is not for me, I mean. I will probably not play that because it's... But I won't say it is a bad game just because I won't play it and I don't like some mechanics that are in the game. From what I've heard, and I trust Icon, the game was good. Is awesome. So try to listen for feedback. Try to reach for people that are trying to make, and want to help you, to tell you what you should do and you should not do. Especially MMOs. Developers, Jesus fucking Christ, you have such a huge crowd of people that could advise you. You could listen to them. Of course, I'm not speaking about those bitching idiots that are just crying and no... I see no problem with that, with my advice. Because it's hard to sift through all the idiots and constructive criticism. Yeah. I agree with the comments of this video, creator of this video. I don't envy developers of any game, especially live service.
Removing me from all other players entirely right off the bat. In these quests, I have to do a lot of different stuff, like escaping from prison, escorting this drunk guy, kidnapping kids. Wait, that can't be right. Oh my god. Listen, I can excuse kidnapping kids, but an escort quest this early into the game should be illegal. This whole experience is such a mess though. Narratively, I get whiplash since the tutorial and the main game could not possibly feel more separate from each other. I get that not everyone plays these games for the story, but a cohesive story, or at least one that ramps up a little better than this, lends itself to cohesive gameplay. I'm not doing any starter quests that ease me into the...
He's right, in my opinion, because for new players, this video is not talking about old players. This is about new players' experience, and the new players' experience in this looks kinda iffy. And then this should be very different. Very different.
The more advanced mechanics or harder fights than I would have faced in the tutorial. When I get to the mainland, I'm thrust into high-stakes instance quests that follow the story of something I know nothing about. Oh, wait, no, actually, there was this one quest to learn about how to use the microtransaction shop. So then...
What now?
That was a starter quest. I've really never felt so disjointed going from a tutorial to a main game experience before. Yeah, I mean, I've had moments where I don't know what to do after a tutorial. Like when I was a kid playing RuneScape for the first time, and after I got plopped onto the mainland, I was just told to play. The RuneScape tutorial section would hold your hand every step of the way, and then like a dad teaching their young child to ride a bike would just let you go, and if you were going to crash and burn, you were going to crash and burn. Maybe I shouldn't have kids. But in 2022, Jagex changed all of that with a new update called Adventure Paths. This was their earnest attempt to make the new player experience as smooth as possible. But did it work? I don't know. I've never tried them, so let's find out. I'm not a new player to old school RuneScape at all, but I will do my best to put myself into the shoes of someone who's never touched old school RuneScape. Just give me a second here. I'm not a virgin. I'm not a virgin. I'm not a virgin. I'm not a virgin. Adventure
What
Paths are
now?
introduced to you right after hitting
Why?
the mainland if you said
How?
you were a brand new player back on Tutorial Island. My man Adventurer John with very normal facial hair will introduce you to two paths.
I was thinking now about Warframe and Duviri Paradox. I don't know. Duviri Paradox is made not mandatory, at least. I don't know what the fuck is going on right now with Warframe, because that was a long time ago. And you're probably now watching one of my videos. Maybe, yeah. Already should be already out. And for me, Warframe's starting point was, it's not MMO, of course. Yes, I understand that, but it's a starting, it has a starting point, some kinda. Yeah, it's a little bit confusing, but I don't know. For me, maybe I'm just a little biased because I like the game, but the starting point was not that confusing, at least. I don't know. It was kind of explained enough, except, what the fuck is Warframe? I thought maybe some kind of alien, maybe a human in the suit, but Duviri Paradox explained that properly to me, that it is soul transfer from human body to, if I'm not wrong, I probably butchering this lore, but oh well, transferring soul from a human to Warframe, some kind of technology that was brought, and if I understand correctly, the Duviri Paradox is a alternative version of how the events were in the main storyline. I hope that it is, and I'm not inventing stuff. Ugh.
Paths. Gather and combat. And I have to say, this is awesome. I thought adventure paths were just going to be a list of quests that you should do or something of that nature. That's probably because I thought adventure paths was the same thing as the activity advisor, this little orb next to the minimap that if you click on it is very much just a list of quests. But no, it's actually completely different. Adventure paths are much more involved and have a reward system, so you have a real motivation to go for these goals. The rewards won't progress your account much faster than if you ignored them completely, but that's not really the point. They show you what the upgrade path for items is. They teach you the basics of training combat better than Tutorial Island does, and it really sets a new player up with the fundamentals as they find the groove of gameplay. Like getting 5 attacks.
Practical knowledge, how to use, not to fucking read the text and then try to somehow to put that into the
action on a new
action.
character is a
That doesn't
pretty
really
simple,
work.
normal thing to do. But when I get to go claim a steel longsword, which is a pretty great upgrade this early on, it really adds new motivation and it makes me want to keep playing. And I'm saying this as a veteran, I genuinely felt excited. Also, when you complete a path, you get this fun pop-up, just like when you get an achievement in Final Fantasy XIV, and let's just say, I was a fan. Adventure paths don't really continue much beyond the gatherer and combat paths, but I would like to see them extended to the main game and maybe to incorporate doing some quests. I think it's one of the best new player mechanics Jagex has ever come up with. Basically, I give them 10 out of 10 idle points, which I've decided we're doing now, I guess. Adventure paths are just a really great
In the end of the video, awesome.
way of smoothing out that experience from tutorial to main game. They remove that moment of now what that can be present with so many people when you're just plopped into this massive world that has been growing for 5, 10, 15, 20 years in the case of a lot of these MMOs now. And it's a part of the new player experience that I feel is the most often overlooked. It's a moment that leads so many players to just close the game from decision paralysis or boredom, and they'll never reopen it. MMORPGs have the highest barrier to entry of any video game genre. That means this genre needs to work harder than any of the other genres to convince these players it's worth the time investment. And the truth is, for World of Warcraft, Final Fantasy XIV, and even old school RuneScape, if I wasn't making a video about the new player experiences, there were moments in all of them where I probably wouldn't have kept playing. But explaining the fundamental
Most of MMOs, for me, also. I wouldn't even, to the certain point, I come up, and it's just fucking too, it is a torture for some of that. I was feeling that with Lost Ark, Jesus fucking Christ, that beginning was so... I couldn't do that. I couldn't go through that. That was so annoying. The nail in the coffin was that I am repeating myself again with the Lost Ark thingy. That there was a high point with the story, huge battle, some kind of interesting event in the story. I mean, the fight for the throne, the all of those things that I'm already forgetting the names of the characters. I forgot. Okay, I forgot properly. I forgot the names of the characters. I mean, when that priest, that part is not on this channel. Look for that on Icon's channel, I think, where the priest that have demon thingy, which was helping the main character, I mean me, was attacked by the church, by the priests, by church, okay, let's call it that, by the church, and they were killing innocent people that in their idea and worldview are corrupted. That was so well done, in my opinion. Rage-inducing. I wanted to kill them all. And then everything went again. Skip. And it killed the vibe instantly. That was fucking what destroyed my interest in the game. And then I'm put in the ship and went to the most annoying place that I ever played in any game. That fucking island with those tiny people. For fuck's sake. Maybe there would be, if I would have a patience to play more, maybe there would be more annoying area, more annoying quests, but fuck. That
Rentals
no.
in an entertaining way, and using systems like Adventure Pass to get players into the core gameplay groove is a great way to get those players
And maybe, just maybe, the game was not worth it to suffer that starting quests. Maybe I was saved from suffering the game that I spent so much time. Maybe. I don't know. I hope so.
investing the first 10, 20, 50 hours before we finally have our hooks in them and they become forever addicted to this genre, and then they can join our cult and finally understand why we're so mentally ill.
Or maybe we're just asocial and we have our social fix in MMOs. Maybe the case. Who knows? Who knows? Thank you to my Patreons. Not to mine, to his. Patreon supporters. Na base What now? Sued Oxford? Oh, that's who helped the channel. Okay, so you heard my ideas. You heard my ideas, my opinions, and everything else. So that's it for this video, I guess. I've been Matchbox. I hope you enjoyed. Watch my other videos, like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you in the next one.